And I've seen this in organizations time and time again. There's lots of frameworks out there that say we got to change the behavior. I'm saying that's part of the problem, but that's not the whole problem. In fact, the real problem is an architectural problem.
Welcome to Digital Transformation Architect, architecting the future of digital transformation. I'm Dr. Darren, and this podcast is for leaders navigating the real-world complexity of modern change. Each week, we cut through the hype to explore how strategy, architecture, technology, and people come together across artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, data, edge, and modern infrastructure. This isn't about chasing tools. It's about designing systems that endure. Let's get started.
I'm really excited to talk to you today about accountability, because a lot of times when we think of accountability, we think of it as a behavior issue. It actually, what I found in my research and working with this is we can solve a lot of accountability issues in an organization through architecture. So we're going to talk about how we can embed that in. So first off, let's talk about accountability. It's not just a management slogan. It's actually an architectural property of the organizational domain of ODXA, the Open Digital Transformation Architecture. And it becomes legible when we start connecting it through three different layers in the organizational domain: the communication channels layer, the roles and responsibilities layer, and the structure layer. And we're going to take a look at how those layers interact together to bring together true accountability in an organization. So first off, the communication channel, and remember the communication channel is all about information sharing and moving information between stakeholders. And so that communication channel enables the people that have ownership that are named through roles and responsibilities. It enables that to happen so that they're getting the information and they can disseminate information through those appropriate communication channels. And then the structure that you form actually formalizes that ownership, formalizes that accountability. Accountability only becomes really operational and repeatable when information, ownership, and governance all stay aligned. So all three of those things have a play in true accountability in an organization. So what we're going to talk about today is that information flow as the precondition for accountability, making sure that we define clear roles and decision rights to convert work into named ownership, and also the structure. How am I structuring my organization so it supports that ownership and accountability, right? And then real transformation only succeeds when I have accountability that is designed into the layers instead of just clumped on at the end or thrown in after I've organized things. So a lot of times we hear leaders say this: take ownership in something. And what teams hear, if the organization isn't set up appropriately, if I don't have those three things, what teams hear is you're to blame if something happens. So teams hear you're absorbing the blame. Right? And when execution fails, what happens? Some people point fingers at each other. But in reality, the problem is it wasn't architected effectively. The channels are incomplete or not established very well. Roles and responsibilities are vague. And then the structure a lot of times diffuses decision-making. Like who's in charge? Who's, right? We see this in a lot of organizations. So a lot of times what people do is they take a look at it's a behavior model thing. So, right, I'm going to demand ownership and I'm going to measure failure, right? All that does is produce blame. And I've seen this in organizations time and time again. There's lots of frameworks out there that say we got to change the behavior. I'm saying that's part of the problem, but that's not the whole problem. In fact, the real problem is an architectural problem. If I design the channels appropriately, if I design and define the roles and responsibilities, and then I embed governance in there through the structure, then it produces execution, evidence, and correction when things are wrong. And so the architecture is solving the issues instead of pointing fingers at who's responsible all the time. You already know who's responsible. The person making the decision is the responsible party, instead of the decision being made by one organization and the blame being placed in another organization. So let's talk about communication channels, because that's the key. That's the crux to keeping this all going. Remember, the communication channel is that nervous system that keeps all the information flowing in your organization. Communication channels is not technology. It's that information graph that I formed that says, hey, this information flows from this person or person with the roles and responsibilities or this organization to another organization. How it flows and the means it flows are important aspects to that as well. And that will dive down into the process domain and into the digital domain. All right, remember, communication channel, it should provide timely information, accessible evidence, and user feedback loops so that I make sure that these channels are nice and firm and that I can have those feedback loops to make sure that when decisions are made, that whoever's doing the execution can immediately say, this is not going to work, and get that feedback loop. Without a good communication channel, accountability is only discovered after failure. Who made that decision, right? That was a disaster, and people don't even know why the decision wasn't made. So communication channel, it carries that information so I can quickly make changes as I need to, like signals like status, risk, demand. Those can change after a decision's been made. Those are carried by the communication channel. They inform the role owner, right? Who's responsible for that? And then I can have review and escalation, which goes back through the communication channels, and then the right people are notified so a decision can be reevaluated. Without it, we wait until failure, and then we blame people for what happened, and that doesn't do us any good for a continuous improvement. Right, so this is what we typically see in organizations when the communication failure happens. The required information gets trapped in departmental boundaries or in individual boundaries as people, protect their data, right? And maybe part of the data goes out to the role owner, whoever made the decision. Then it's too late to see and make adjustments, and then there's failure, right? Late discovery, major failure. I see this in organizations, both matrix organizations and hierarchical organizations, as information's not flowing up, as it gets filtered, as it's moving up the chain. I see that a lot as, it's good news, Charlie, right? I'm always giving good news up, never giving the real information up. It's always filtered for executives. This is a common trait in almost any large organization. We need to break down some of those communication failures and make sure that the right information is getting to the role, the owner that made that decision so that they can make adjustments as they need to. Okay, let's talk about roles and responsibilities layer. So this layer answers the defining question, who's responsible for what and who has the authority to decide? A lot of times people are afraid of that responsibility and that authority, so they keep pushing it aside and moving it up. If it's defined well in the roles and responsibilities, then that question isn't up for debate. That is part of what is in that role that person is playing, right? Role clarity is a huge deal throughout the whole organization. And it's not just a title or an HR concern. A lot of times it gets delegated to that. Role clarity is extremely important in an organization because you'll know who's responsible for what. Once you know that, then information can flow much more effectively through those communication channels that have been established. Remember, this is an architectural condition for execution. If I don't know what roles people are playing, how do I know how to get the work done? All right, so if we take a look at how roles are accountable and assignable, I've got a role, and the role should know the scope of the role, the decision rights of the role, and the expected outcomes of the role. If it doesn't know those three things, then I don't have accountability. And that role is not someone that has accountability. So I need to make sure that I have clear scope, I have explicit authority to do things, and that I can see the visual outcomes of the decisions that I've made. If I don't have those, the visibility of those outcomes, then I make decisions in the dark. I can't readjust as I need to. So this is really important. Okay, what ambiguity looks like? I see this all the time. Overlapping responsibilities, vague decision authority, work just circulates and nothing ever gets done. There's no closure, nothing ever gets done. And so what happens is ownership gets diffused across an organization, escalation stalls, and progress just, I can't even see it happening. Everything just comes to a screeching halt. And what happens then is accountability. When things start to fail, accountability turns into the blame game, and it's not productive at all. So let's take a look at channels and roles, how they work together. Look, communication channels are key in providing individuals with different roles the right information at the right time. That provides evidence so that they can direct the action that they need to make, either change the direction of a decision that they made or make new decisions, whatever the case may be, right? The key is that we're getting things done. That's the key. Visibility without ownership just creates noise. Got a lot of visibility, but no one's in charge. I got a lot of visibility, and everyone's like, "Oh, are you going to do that, or am I going to do that? Who's going to do that work?" Right? I see that time and time again. And then ownership without visibility. Now I'm just guessing. Right? Oh, I'm responsible for this, but I have no idea what the impact of my decision is, either now or in the future or even in the past. Right? Together, those things together, that's what provides real accountability with execution. All right, now let's talk about structure. Now, structure is really cool because what structure can do is structure can make those roles and responsibilities and communication channels, they can, what's the right word? Make it canon, solidify it. That's the word I'm looking for. They solidify it, right? So it's where accountability becomes visible in the architecture through the structure. If I establish the structure correctly, then I can see the reporting relationships, the governance models, review forms, and escalation paths. So that's what structure gives. Structure institutionalizes those roles and responsibilities in those decision making, right? Because if a decision's made and then there's errors, and I go back to the decision maker and they say, just keep with it, I need some kind of escalation path or review form to say, hey, wait, maybe we need to take another look at this, right? The decision maker might not be doing the right things here, so this gives me an opportunity to revisit, right? That's where structure comes in. Also, structure also provides that reporting relationship, so I know not only who's in charge of what decisions, but also where it can be delegated out to, right? So let's take a look. Let's throw structure into our relationship here. I've got the owner. They participate maybe in a decision form that I've established in my structure. There's a governance and escalation path that ties into my process domain. And then there's structural ownership, right? The architecture is clearly visible here, and I can trace the owner, the decision body, and the escalation path. If I've documented that, then I know exactly what happens when issues occur, instead of guessing or going around and pointing fingers at everybody else. So one thing you can do to test your architecture when we inspect the structure is you ask these questions. Can I identify who the role owner is? Who's the decision authority? Or is it a group, right? What is the channel that's carrying the evidence to the decision body or owner that's making the decision? And if there's a form involved, where are unresolved issues escalated to? Or if I have unresolved issues, where do they go, right? If they're not there, if these things aren't there, then I have an architectural accountability gap. And that's when the blame game starts happening. So I really need to establish these accountability, architectural accountability. So if I look at accountability, all three things need to be there: communication channels, roles and responsibilities, and structure. Remember, communication channel provides information availability. It makes all the information available. The roles and responsibilities makes things assignable, and the structure makes them durable so that they last over and over and over again. That's where I get true accountability. Not through behavior analysis, not through behavior modification, through architecture, right? The behavior modification sits on top of this, and you need that, but without the structure underneath, it just falls apart. So I hope the key takeaways you got from this lecture today are communication channels make everything visible, roles and responsibilities are about accountability assignment, and structure makes that accountability durable, right? Transformation can succeed through all these layers when they're all coherent.
You've been listening to Digital Transformation Architect. If today's discussion helped you see your challenges more clearly, the next step is to apply architecture, not just technology. For deeper conversations with leaders and practitioners shaping real change, listen to Embracing Digital Transformation or check out our website at embracingdigital.org. Until next time, architect the future with intent.